There are so many secrets in Stardew Valley, from moving shadows to Bigfoot to the wizard. And one villager in particular has caught my eye, which is Linus. What if Linus isn't just a simple hermit living off the land? What if he's actually the last line of defense keeping the monsters of the valley contained? I know, like, it's a long shot, but still, there are many things that point out that he has more to do with the valley than he lets on. He's not just simply living in his tent. So today I really want to talk more about Linus and his reason in staying in the valley. But everyone, before we begin, please don't forget to leave a like and also subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot. But without any further ado, let's dig in. We all know Linus and the way people treat him. Some people treat him well and others throw rocks at his tent. His connection to nature and survival is the forefront to his character. And by getting to know him, we learn that he's quite lovable, kind, and just really wants to stay out of the way of everyone. That's why he has his tent there, above the carpenter shop in the mountains. He doesn't want to bother any of the villagers. But what if the location he chose to pitch his tent has a second meaning? That's because, from his tent, he has a clear point of view of the mines. And we all know what's there. A lot of monsters coming from the deep, trying to get out of the sealed caverns. In Stardew Valley, we can find out that most of the monsters are found underground, hiding in caves, and the deeper we go, the more powerful monsters we find. And why is that? There are two quite main differences between the skull caverns and the mines. In the mines we can find more or less dangerous monsters, while in the skull caverns there are quite a lot of dangerous ones from the start, from the get-go, when you enter the first floor. And the biggest reason for that would be that the mines are next to an inhabited spot and they're being cleared by the villagers, well, mostly by the Adventurers Guild and maybe by Linus. While the skull caverns are protected by a door with a seal and we're only given access by Mr. Key there. But the mines weren't always like that. When talking to George, we find out that he was a miner before. And due to an accident with dynamite in the mines, he lost the ability to walk. But what if that wasn't an accident at all? What if that was the point where the monsters started to appear? What if with that dynamite they unleashed something and that caused an accident to appear in the caverns while they were mining, making the mines closed off for good? Because afterwards we find out that the mines weren't used at all, and that would give rise to more monsters going up. But if the monsters were always there and the miners were always able to mine without meeting anything, there may have been a guardian that was protecting all the miners there, making sure nothing got in touch with the miners so they would be safe and they wouldn't know that there were monsters there. But one day something happened and he failed in his mission, leading to the cause of an accident for George, which left him unable to walk. And what if that person was Linus? I can imagine that he felt really bad and ashamed that he managed to let that happen to George. And as a self-punishment, he chose to live the hermit life, trying to protect the mines and not let anyone else get hurt. He closed off the mines for good and always made sure to clear up the top floors, so he wouldn't let anyone else go there. And with that, he took watch over the safety of the valley from that front. Until a shady corporation moved into the valley. And by shady, you know which one I'm talking about. You're probably wondering why I would involve Joja into this. Well, let's think about it. The first day that we enter the game and we go towards the mines, we can see a worker trying to clear out rubble from a rock that fell due to Joja. But imagine if all of the protective symbols that put the seal on the mines in the first place was inscribed on that rock, and Joja deliberately made an accident to just remove the seal of the mines. I don't know what they would do with this, like they're a corporation that lives through money that they get from the villagers. Destroying Stardew Valley, Pelican Town and more would be detrimental for them. But still, that happened. They destroyed a big part and probably lifted the seal of the mines, letting people enter where they wanted, but also monsters to get out of there as well. They probably knew about Linus's role in the valley, so they blocked off his entrance so the monsters could have gotten from the other side and went to attack Pelican Town. But they probably missed the Adventurers Guild that was on that side, and all of the monsters that went there probably got destroyed by them. Seeing this, Joja gave up and removed the boulder due to the pressure of Pelican Town, maybe the mayor as well, and by doing that, Linus also has access to the mines, but at this point in time everyone knows about the mine entrance. And on that day when we enter there, we can see Marlon, the leader of the Adventurers Guild, being in the mines, feeling that there's something down in the mines. So he warns us about that. And they probably fought all of those monsters in the moment that Linus wasn't able to access the mines to keep it safe. By doing that, we can see that on one side it's Linus protecting one of the entrances, and on the other there's the Adventurers Guild. Quite a tactical position, to be honest, because they could have built the guild everywhere else. So by doing this, they kept the valley safe, and Joja had to just give up at this point, so they stopped doing anything about that. But now that the mines are open, more monsters can go out, even if they can slip by there like watch. And that's why probably Linus goes around the town patrolling while looking for food in the dumpsters. He's probably doing that so the villagers aren't afraid of him, so he's not that suspicious moving around the town. And I think he's quite powerful since we can see him hanging around the wizard on some festivals. For example, on the Hallows Eve, he mentions that Rasmodius is his old friend. So I wouldn't say exactly he's an apprentice of him, but probably more of a colleague that he doesn't use magic though. And since he's one with nature, as we did drink the potion that the wizard gave us, I would say that he can see the spirits and spirit animals going around the valley. And I think that George's accident was the trigger for Linus to become the hermit he is at the moment. Silently protecting the valley like in the past, but this time with more activity from his side. Because he failed once, he doesn't want to fail again. And that's why he has a continuous watch over the mine entrance and patrols the town even to make sure nothing slips by. But even with all of that protection, there are sometimes moments that some creatures do slip by. We can see one on the pier. When we're fishing, he can suddenly appear, which is a water monster, but this can also come from the sea. I was thinking that if it's from the mines, he probably escaped through the water, where we cleared out the cave, we removed the glowing rock, and he just went with the river flow to the sea. And the other ones are the shadows that appear through the town, and also the big shadow, which I think it's quite Bigfoot, that appears through some of the places in the valley, like the Wizard's Tower or the mountain path. Now, these could be monsters that are from the mines, or they could have been monsters that are from other sources, like the strange capsule, the secret woods, or just the plain old sea. Maybe that's a merman, we never know. And most of those things are Rasmodius' territory, so he should have most of the information about those, since Linus is only the protector of the mines. And the funny thing is that even though he's the protector of the mines, he tries his best in trying to take care of other magical people like him. For example, Leo. Leo is a boy that was living alone on an island and he could talk to parrots. And suddenly, by I don't know what, Linus could talk to parrots as well. So I really think that that connection to nature is truly the point that he gets his powers from. And seeing Leo that he's also on that path, he took him as an apprentice in order to train him and maybe in the future take his spot as the protector of the valley. Now, the self-punishment that he does to himself due to George is something that I think it's really there. And in the past, he probably was living hidden. None of the villagers knew about him, and he was silently protecting them. But now that the accident happened, he felt really ashamed and probably guilty about that, letting that happen, and probably live a life as a hermit, showing himself to the villagers and maybe even giving them a warning or two not to go there. We may never know what happened on that fateful day in the mines, but we do know that he changed afterwards and tried to protect them more actively while blocking the mines completely for all of the villagers. And he may have been the person that led the Adventurers Guild there in order to protect the mines if something happened. And even with all of this, I think Linus is really kind and I really like him as a person. And I hope that he will find solace in the things that he does for now. In any case, it's quite a really difficult topic to talk about since it may not even be that. But still, having to think him as a silent protector is quite fun, and also a lot of things point towards that aspect, so it's really interesting about him, the place he lives, and all of the things he does. But this gives rise to another thing. Why did Joja want to release the monsters from the mines? How did they know about those? And what's Joja really after there? Since we chased them off, we may never know, but maybe in a future update they will come back for sure, like Team Rocket from Pikachu. What do you think about Linus and this little theory that I have about him? Do you think it may be real or it's just a long shot? Let me know down below. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I really like doing these deep dives about Stardew Valley and more games out there, so feel free to expect more about this in the future. So don't forget to press that like button and also subscribe to the channel to get notified about my future updates. I hope you all have a great day and I will see you all in my next one. But till then, stay safe.